The moment you take complete responsibility for everything in your life is the moment you claim the power to change anything in your life. And that is the thought for today. Welcome to 7 Good Minutes. I'm Clyde Lee Dennis. Thanks for joining me for what I believe will be 7 of the most enriching minutes of your day. In today's episode of 7 Good Minutes, we talk about the power of personal accountability and owning your life, transforming your future. Enjoy. There's a moment in every person's life when they realize they have a choice. They can continue to be a passenger in their own story, or they can take the wheel and become the driver of their destiny. That moment is when personal accountability stops being a burden and starts being the most liberating force in your life. But what does it really mean to be accountable? And why does it feel so difficult sometimes? By the end of this episode, you'll understand what true personal accountability looks like, why it's the foundation of all meaningful change, and how embracing it can transform not just your circumstances, but your entire relationship with yourself and your potential. Personal accountability isn't about blame or harsh self-judgment. It's not about beating yourself up for past mistakes or carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. True accountability is about recognizing that, while you can't control everything that happens to you, you always have control over how you respond. It's about owning your choices, your reactions, and your role in creating the life you're living. The opposite of accountability is victimhood, not the legitimate experience of being harmed, but the mindset that keeps you stuck in powerlessness. When you operate from a victim mentality, you give away your power to change your circumstances. You wait for others to change, for conditions to improve, for life to get easier. But when you embrace accountability, you reclaim that power and recognize that you are the author of your own story. One of the most profound shifts happens when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this?" Or, "How can I respond in a way that serves my growth?" This isn't about denying that unfair things happen or that external circumstances can be challenging. It's about focusing your energy on what you can actually influence: your thoughts, your actions, your choices. Personal accountability begins with radical honesty about where you are right now. This means looking at your life without the filters of excuses, justifications, or blame. If you're unhappy in your job, accountability asks, "What role did I play in getting here, and what can I do to change it?" If your relationships are struggling, accountability asks, "How am I contributing to these patterns, and what can I do differently?" This kind of honesty can be uncomfortable at first, but it's also incredibly empowering. When you stop waiting for others to change or for perfect conditions to appear, you realize that you have more control over your life than you ever imagined. Every moment becomes an opportunity to choose differently, to respond more wisely, to align your actions with your values. Accountability also means taking ownership of your mistakes without drowning in shame. There's a difference between healthy accountability and toxic self-blame. Healthy accountability says, "I made a mistake, I can learn from it, and I can do better next time." Toxic self-blame says, "I'm a terrible person who always messes up." One leads to growth and improvement. The other leads to paralysis and self-defeat. When you embrace personal accountability, you stop making excuses and start making progress. Instead of explaining why you can't exercise, you find ways to move your body that work with your schedule. Instead of complaining about your financial situation, you start making small changes to improve it. Instead of waiting for motivation to strike, you take action and let momentum build. This doesn't mean you have to do everything alone or that asking for help is a sign of weakness. True accountability includes recognizing when you need support and taking responsibility for seeking it out. It means being honest about your limitations while still owning your power to grow and change. Personal accountability is also about keeping the promises you make to yourself. Every time you follow through on a commitment to yourself, whether it's waking up earlier, eating healthier, or working on that project you've been putting off, you build self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence, resilience, and personal power. One of the most beautiful aspects of personal accountability is that it's contagious. When you stop blaming others and start focusing on your own growth, you inspire others to do the same. When you take responsibility for your part in conflicts, you create space for healing and understanding. When you own your mistakes with grace, you give others permission to be human too. Remember, accountability isn't about perfection. It's about ownership. You don't have to have all the answers or never make mistakes. You just have to be willing to own your choices, learn from your experiences, and keep moving forward with intention and integrity. As you go through your day today, notice the moments when you have a choice between accountability and blame, between ownership and victimhood. In those moments, remember that choosing accountability isn't just about taking responsibility. It's about reclaiming your power to create the life you truly want to live. That does it for today's episode of 7 Good Minutes. Please take a moment to rate and review the show on the platform you're listening on. Until next time, let's be civil to one another out there. Thanks for listening.